Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Torch Tales. I'm your host, Frank Vargas, and oh boy, do I have a treat for you guys today. I mean, if you guys are in the industry, and I think I keep saying this a little bit more often because I'm very lucky to have these great friends saying yes to this, whatever this is, this project. We'll see where it goes. But if you guys are in the industry, you guys know who this is. Stephanie Hoffman. Love, thank you so much. And I'm going to say a little bit of the things that I think I know about her, and the list goes on, and it just keeps growing. First of all, thank you for saying yes to this crazy idea. So you and I met in 2018.
Was it 2018? No, I thought it was earlier than that.
I think it was the AWS symposium when you went to Doral, Florida.
Was it instructors or leadership?
No, it was leadership.
Oh, okay. So it was either 2018 or 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give or take, tomatoes, right?
Yeah.
2017, 2018. And that's when we met, you, Jason, and I, and a few other friends in the industry. And one of the things that I'm going to start sharing here is when I first met you, and Jason as well, it's lovely. Somebody was saying hi. Like I said before, this is very organic. It is what it is. We're going to say that. We're probably going to do this throughout the whole thing. Before I ask anything else, how are you?
I'm great.
Are you?
Yes.
And the reason why I asked that is because I know you made some changes to make sure that you put your personal life up front, on your health, which is a great call. Again, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And we'll touch on that. And I know a little bit of it, but just because we're friends and we share some things. Going back to 2018, well, first of all, let me go see if I can go through the list. Welding instructor, or should I say ex-welding instructor?
Probably.
All right.
I mean, I guess no. I'm always educating.
Well, because there's a few X's thing in her life, and we'll see, and she can kind of tell me what they are. So, welding instructor, ex maybe. You also metal fabricator. Do you still light up a torch to begin with?
Not since June.
Really? All right. There you go. A little bit of honesty. And also the face for AWS for Arc America, Arc Stars, the welding trailer. How do I call the trailer itself?
It's the Careers in Welding trailer.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me. Now, also a judge on the past show,
Metal Shop Masters
on Netflix. That was the first season 2 years ago.
Yes.
Is there going to be another season?
No.
No? Oh,
No,
all right,
it was
too bad.
just a special.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, well, congratulations on that as well.
Thank you.
I know that you've been growing through the ranks and your name is well known out there. But let's go back, all the accolades you have and everything else, and you guys will see why she's a star.
That's weird.
She's a star. What can I say? I'm so grateful to have her here next to me. In fact, I'm getting chills, goosebumps.
Oh, God.
All right. Steph, where is Stephanie from?
So I am from a small little beach town in Ocean County, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, born and raised there. Left for a little while when I was in the military, but before I went into the military,
What branch?
I was in the Army.
Really? Yeah. How many years were you there?
4 years.
4 years. So okay, all right.
Yeah, I was an intelligence analyst.
Really? I can see that.
Yeah.
And were you into welding then?
Before that.
Oh, before that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually was a welder prior to that, and then very needs of the Army after 9/11, and I wanted to go in the military. Both my older brothers were in, so I wanted to serve too.
Well, thank you, by the way, for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And when I did my ASVAB, I scored too high on the ASVAB, so they would not let me do any like welding, mechanical stuff, nothing. It was UAV operator, linguist, cryptologist, signals analyst, and intelligence analyst.
I've never heard that before anyway on my part. Like, yeah, you score way too high, just saying out there, but yeah.
Yeah, so, and because it was so needs of the Army after 9/11, they had I'm not trying to sound terrible about somebody's level of, IQ.
It's life.
I guess there's a lot of people coming from, different places. Where maybe education isn't as
predominant
as it is maybe in the Northeast or where, whatever. So basically, they said these are the only jobs you can do. So I picked the one.
So the smart jobs, yeah.
Yeah. So the one with the $21,000 signing bonus is the one that I selected.
God, I'm telling you, I've been missing my whole life.
Yeah, that was a while ago, and then I was stationed in South Korea
Really?
At Camp Red Cloud in Uijeonbu, South Korea.
Huh.
I was the G2 Sergeant Major's assistant, and we did a lot of work in human trafficking and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
it was kind of horrible.
So, and again,
Nothing to laugh about at all.
Yeah. There's
but-
no script on these guys. There's gonna left and right. Sometimes my guest will say something that will get me somewhere else, take me somewhere else. So, when you say human trafficking, does that have to do anything with underground?
Yeah, like
The name?
No.
No. Okay. All right. So
no.
got it. So here you are. Now let's go back. So I thought that you became a welder after the Army. Now
No.
you weren't. So let's
I
go
started
back.
welding much younger.
As a little kid, what were you into in New Jersey as a little girl, beach town?
Yeah, obviously going to the beach. I was really big into dancing, competitive dancing.
I'm
Yeah.
finding all these things that I thought I knew this person. I have no clue who this is.
Yeah, so did a lot of dancing, BMX bikes.
What kind of dancing?
Like ballet, jazz, hip hop.
Okay.
Yeah. Then was really into BMX bikes and would ride BMX. Really into punk rock music. So
Okay.
as I became like an older teenager, I became really into the punk rock community in New York City and Philadelphia. And
Was that a stage of your life? Like, that kind of...
oh, I'm still
you
a
are?
punk rock
All right.
girl. Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
cool.
I might not look it today, but
Oh.
I feel like I still am.
All right, there you go.
Somewhere in there. And then when I became old enough to drive, I started building cars, and I was
Why? Like, what happened? Who did you see? And, like, how?
well, I think the guy that I was dating,
Okay.
he was really into building cars,
Gotcha.
and I like driving fast cars too. And so we
So
would
that
do.
got you into it.
Yeah, we would do all types of motor swaps and transmission stuff. And then I built my first right-hand drive car when I was 19. I ordered a front clip from Japan and had it shipped. Yeah, so we had it shipped in, and then I cut the front end of my car off. And I told my mom, I was 19, barely 19 years old. I told my mom, I was like, this should only take me like 3 weeks to do. I should be done with this, no problem. It was like 6 months later, and my mom had no couch cushions because when we got the front clip, I didn't want to just I didn't have a lift or anything or like a forklift or
great.
something to get it out of the bed of the truck.
Yeah.
So I lived on the water, and we had 2 garage doors that opened the front to the driveway and then one to the boat ramp in the backyard. So there's
you
a
had
boat in the boat ramp, so I tied it off to the boat on the trailer in the boat
Yeah.
ramp, and then peeled wheels out of the front of the driveway and then ripped it out of the bed of the truck. And I used all my mom's couch cushions to lay it on.
Oh, to make sure that it was
So
safe
it didn't
at
smash
the
into
land.
yeah, because I don't want it to break. So that's all I had.
Did your mom knew this?
She knew when she got home from work.
All right.
She wasn't happy. I had to go and replace the couch cushions
Gotcha.
and such because I ruined them.
I figure.
But then the job was not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just like, oh, cut out the firewall
clip, yeah.
just kind of plug and play everything, get the front dash redone, switch over the shift linkage, and it would be done deal.
Isn't that how we all learn, right?
Yeah,
The hard
and
way.
it was not. I mean, I didn't know anything I was doing. Just drilling out the spot welds. There was thousands of them, I'm pretty sure. And I think I bought every 1/4-inch drill bit from Home Depot for in a 17 to 20
We got a
mile
regular
radius.
customer in the house. Yeah, she's back again. That's
was like,
funny.
hello.
Yeah, there she comes again.
Just
She got the
burning
one.
out every drill bit, and I didn't know how to sharpen drill bits either, so they were just.
That is funny.
Yeah.
So now you get into hands-on kind of work.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, I'm digging this. I
Yeah.
like this. What happens? Where's the first first thing that you saw? Oh my God, I love this fire thing.
Oh, so that was when I was much younger. I was probably.
Oh, even before that.
Yeah, I was probably 11, 12 years old. My dad owned a excavating and paving company.
Okay.
So
They had to have a porta torch or something.
They have
yeah.
so many welders that worked for him. He wasn't a welder, but he was completely enamored by the welders.
Really?
And I saw it, and I was like, I want to try that. So when I was probably 11, 12, I started stick welding.
Really?
Doing hard facing and stuff like that, like budget stick welding,
course,
like 70-24, stuff like that.
Yeah. Harbor Freight kind of.
Not hard facing
Right.
rods or anything, because those were too expensive. It just needed to, build up the tread on.
You just needed to glue those two things
Yeah,
together, however they held.
So, I mean, I did that, and I didn't want to be the boss's daughter type of thing. So my first job, not with my dad, was in a shipyard in Point Pleasant, New Jersey.
So by now you're 18, 17,
I was
16?
15, 16 years old.
Oh, so we're like child labor, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting paid cash. It was like 16. I was getting a ride.
It's a
I didn't
small
drive-
town, guys.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
I didn't
it's
drive
America.
myself
Yeah.
there. I mean,
It's all
this
good.
was a long
It's all
time
good.
ago.
Yeah.
It was like early 2000.
And so now you are getting exposed. Now you're actually getting paid to do this. And
Yeah.
so did you see that at that one moment? I'm like, hey, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I can make a living out of this. Or there was still, you didn't know what the future was going to hold.
Well, I think my biggest obstacle was when I got into the VOTEC program,
Yeah.
my mom had to threaten a lawsuit for me to get into the program. They denied me to get in.
Because
I was a girl.
yeah.
And it was something, they've never had a female student. They didn't know how the bathroom and changing situation was going to work out.
Geez.
So my mom basically was like, I'm going to hang up the phone. I'm going to call you tomorrow. And I hope you have a different answer for me.
Guess who got in?
Yeah. And then I got in. I graduated that program with more. Oh, I had 2 certifications before my welding instructor even got them.
Okay.
I had a 6G anodized pipe certification that he took and failed like 4 times. I passed it first go.
So the school, not sure about whether they want to let you in.
Yeah.
Then your mom says, you are going to let my daughter in.
Mm-hmm.
So you go in. Did they treat you any different did they even knew that whole story before you got there?
That
Meaning like, oh, well, she's in because the mom tried to sue us or...
I mean, maybe that might have been, but it was never like pushed onto me.
Gotcha.
I was like ruthlessly made fun of, and I mean everything. And like back then, these kids like, I mean, they would literally be like, "Hey, Steph, come here. Can you hold this for me?" And me being dumb, I would be like, "Yeah, sure, I'll help you out. Like, I want to help somebody."
Yeah.
And they would like ground something out, and they'd blast a TIG torch, and I would and I'd fall to the ground because they'd shock me, or they would. They would take the grounds off. They'd turn off my gas when I was welding, and so that I would like wonder what's going on. They'd turn up the amperage while I'd be welding.
Oh my Lord!
They would do everything they could to try. And so then they even came up with a thing called Stephanie's Wall of Shame, and they would go up one by one on their shoulders. And we had just big I-beams in the shop,
Yeah.
right? They went up to the I-beams of the shop and they took a MIG lead up there or stick lead, I don't know what it was. And like the kids that were really, because I was good and they didn't like that.
I bet.
So it was me and this other kid, JC, and we were like the top dogs there, And we were always like competing with each other. But then all the other kids, they were just like, they didn't like that we were like teacher's pet or
Gotcha.
whatever,
Yeah, of course.
But I wasn't just
for a good reason.
I wasn't just the token girl who was
Yeah.
getting attention. It was because I was doing something, I was doing it well.
Gotcha.
But that's what made me into a good welder, was because of that pressure. I wasn't like there just like the other kids, they would be there, no one was paying attention to them. Me, I was under a microscope. If I, made a mistake, it was national news. I mean, everybody was making fun of me. I would leave there all the time. Like, why am I even doing this? I might as well just go be a hairdresser or something else.
So what was it that you think that didn't let you quit?
I'm really stubborn.
Going through all of that,
I'm
like,
very
you know what?
competitive.
Are you?
I'm very competitive and very stubborn.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I can
Irish
see the
Pollock
stubborn
in
part.
me.
I didn't know the competitive part.
Yeah, very,
Okay.
very competitive. Then I competed in Skills USA twice.
Yeah.
Always a bridesmaid, never the bride. So
Yeah.
I came in second every time.
There you go.
So I don't know.
So that's amazing in itself. Everything that you had to go through. Not only being a female, in a male-oriented industry, right? And now I think you broke a lot of those barriers. So, who was it the one that said, "Hey, not only should you be once you are a welder," who said, "Well, you should take this test. You should do this. You should get up your level and learn all these things"? Or that was also came from you?
My instructor was getting certifications, and then the kids that were seniors were getting certifications. So I was like, "Oh, I can do that. I can do that, no problem.
Yeah.
Let me take all of those."
Yeah.
And like but the one thing I didn't know at the time was I was getting these certifications, but they weren't held by a company. So they were really they were just pieces of paper
Joe
that say,
says she's a good welder.
Yeah, I got this. But I know whenever I went somewhere, that was the biggest problem. Because the reason why I went to work at a shipyard, I was repairing old clam dredges in the wintertime on the Jersey Shore in January.
Fun.
It was horrible outside.
Yeah.
Not the greatest environment for a young girl. And it was the only place that would hire me. I would go to job interview, and they would pretty much make fun of me or do stuff on purpose. Mind you, I'm like 15, 16 years old, just looking to be a shop helper. I'll sweep the floors, I'll do whatever, tack stuff together, grind stuff, whatever you need me to do. They would come in, sit me down for a weld test. Either it would be way too hard for me at my skill set at that time, or they would purposely do stuff to set the machine so that it was incorrect to see if I could troubleshoot it. And I did not have that experience.
Of course.
Yet.
I mean,
was
why
relying
would,
on these people to want to give me a chance and kind of, I was there for an entry-level position.
Guide you along, yeah, for sure.
I wasn't there for, to go be the shop foreman or something like that. So I would leave job interview. I mean, the old, you're going to light your hair on fire. And just like the dumb stuff, like,
guys, what's wrong with us?
Yeah.
I mean, what's wrong with us? Literally, like, what's wrong with us?
I don't know why they think my hair is going to be more flammable than somebody, not your hair, but.
Thanks. Yeah. but that's exactly why I do it, yeah.
I just never understood it. And then, finally, they were the only person that gave me a shot.
Of course, you'll say yes to anything.
So I went there. Another kid in my class got hired at the same time, this kid Will. And the only thing it was horrible. The only thing I cared about was not quitting before he did.
Oh, so that was your competitive nature.
Yes.
I
was like, I'm staying until he quits, and I know he's not going to last very long.
Oh,
I think it was maybe a couple of weeks, and he quit, and I literally quit like the next day.
Really?
Yeah, and then again had to go through the whole thing of trying to find somewhere else to work. And I didn't have to work. It wasn't like my parents were you need to get out and work. I just wanted to do it to start making a name for myself. But I would say it was 8 years of people basically telling me, maybe, I don't know, or I would work places where they wouldn't issue me tools, they would issue everybody else. They would maybe give me a power drill, like a cordless drill, but they wouldn't give me, say, like a portaband, or they wouldn't issue me a bandsaw, like a vertical bandsaw.
So are they blaming it on safety, or maybe like, she's not going to be able to use this, so it's a safety?
They said safety.
All right, yeah.
But they wouldn't predict, they wouldn't come, they would just say, you don't need that. Because I'm going to
do the same thing as all of them.
Because you had your own station, you had your fab stuff to get the pipe jobs done as you're building, whatever we're doing. And I would have to, so the one guy who'd been there for a really long time, older guy, he became suddenly my helper and fitter, and then I would do all the welding, but I was never allowed to do the fab stuff for a while. But I mean, I it was whatever, and I took what I could get, because back then, there was no, in all my years, I didn't, for many years, there was no other women on the job site, and in most cases, I was the first one they ever hired.
It's crazy, and now I understand more.
It's very different. It's definitely changed.
I know, right? Now you see this younger generation. I mean, it's fun actually to say younger generation, because I don't think we're that old, but when we say younger...
I'm only 22.
All right, anyways, but now you are 18, 20. Mm-hmm. When do you become a welding instructor?
Gosh.
Was there a big gap between?
Yeah, I didn't.
And how does that happen, though?
I only became a welding instructor, I was probably about 13 years into my career at that point.
Really?
As a pipe welder.
And it was for what college, or where
I
was
worked at a career and technical high school.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I worked almost 13 years in the pipe welding industry.
Before?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the military.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, for a little bit, where I did time in Korea, and then the rest of my time I did home, so then I was working and doing that at the same time.
Gotcha.
As a reserve.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it was about 13 years ago when I got into...
And how was that a big
10
change?
years ago?
Was that a big change on you? Like, hey, from pretty much doing all the hands-on, because now 13 years in, even though you weren't allowed to do certain things, probably 13 years in, now you're doing more, of course.
I fell into welding education.
Really?
On accident. Because I was a single mom at the time.
Yeah.
My daughter's almost 15 now, but at the time she was very little. I wasn't home a lot. I wanted something to be a little bit...
So some things don't change. I'm just kidding.
It doesn't. So I wasn't home a lot. I wanted to be home for my daughter more. So I was like, let me go back to college. I'm going to get a degree in education. I'm going to use my degree that I have in intelligence operations and homeland security.
Say that twice.
Yeah. Because I was an Intel analyst, and I thought I couldn't be an Intel analyst though. It was too boring. It was just a lot of desk work. Now it's funny because that's what I want to go back to. That's what I want to do now. Not Intel analyst stuff, but office work. But anywho, so I went to school for education, thinking I can use that and become a history teacher or something, because no one's going to hire me to run a welding program.
Right, especially everything that you went through.
Everything that I went through, and I was like, there's no way. So. My welding instructor from high school called and said, hey, there's a job opening up in this town. You should apply for it. I'm like, okay, they're not going to hire me.
Yeah. Dude, you remember last time?
Yeah, it was an hour and 40 minutes from my house. And was like, okay. I bailed on the first interview. They called me back. They're like, please just come. So I go there. I literally got the job on the spot. They're like, how do you know so? Like, I'm like an encyclopedia of welding knowledge, and it's super geeky. But and they were really impressed. The instructor who was there, like interviewing with the principal, the guy who was retiring. He was asking me questions that I don't even think he knew the answer to, and I was like, and like he would try.
So
to,
whatever
like,
you would have answered, like, oh, she's awesome.
No, he was trying to purposely like trip me up.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, to like discredit me.
Wow.
And he couldn't do it, and I actually started tripping him up with my responses and rebuttals to whatever he was saying, and it was quite funny. And then he left. The principal was like, "That was amazing. When can you start? Can you be here for the school year?" And I agreed. I was so excited, but I was very nervous because it was. I live in a beach town. This is a very, very rural part of New Jersey that I was going to do this work in, and I fell in love with teaching. I cried my first paycheck.
Really?
I was like, "What have I done?" I called my mom, saying like,
"What have I done to deserve this?" Or
no,
because this is the pay cut? Is
because the pay cut was like in my head. Like you're like, okay, I can live with that, and then you see what's you're left
taxes
with,
are,
and you're like.
Like,
well,
Mom, I'm going to stay here a lot
very
longer.
Bad mistake, and so I called her crying, and then I ended up starting to bartend at on the Jersey Shore. So if you ever watch the show, The Jersey Shore, I used to work at the bar that Snooki got punched in the face at.
Really?
I used to work
were you there while that was happening?
Not when the punch happened.
Well, when the whole show was happening.
No, it was more after. A lot of them still come in and become like friends. So that was.
That was a situation.
Time. Yeah, that was a fun time in my life, bartending though.
That's something that I've always wanted to do because I love conversation, and I think I missed that because I would have done it for a couple of years just to see the experience.
The crazy thing about bartending on the Jersey Shore back then was the money was insane.
Really?
It was cash, 100% cash.
Because now I went by the Jersey Shore the other day.
It's not the same.
It's
no,
it looks like a ghost town almost.
I used to work a Saturday, a double on a Saturday, and make $1,300 cash.
God, I mean, they run business.
And I would just stick it in a Vans shoebox under my bed, and then I would just take cash everywhere. I looked like a stripper, but I wasn't. I was a bartender. And I would go to the grocery store with my daughter and be like, I'm just a bartender.
I swear.
Yeah.
It's like all the that's behind it, like.
So that was one of the ways that I had to kind of subsidize, not subsidize, but
Oh yeah, just bring in more
income.
Yeah. So that's awesome because at that moment when you saw that first check, you cry, you call Mom, I don't know what I did. I'm not sure if this is the right call, but then you start bartending just to kind of make ends meet. And did you think about quitting the school at that moment? No.
No.
So even though you saw the check was nothing.
No, because those kids became my extended family. I became so close with these kids. With their parents were so involved in the program. Kids that attendance was horrible suddenly became perfect attendance because they were so excited to go to school and learn and do these projects and these fun builds, and we would do all types of crazy stuff.
So were you teaching all the processes?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and we had so much fun. I turned that whole program around. I ended up starting a night program that was selling out the 18 seats the first semester we did it in a very little rural town.
Wow.
It's funny, I tour with the trailer, and I've been to different places for FFA, and people have come up to me or a Boy Scout event or something, and they're like, oh my God, you're the welding teacher from that school. You taught so-and-so. They still talk about you.
What a
what you
full
did
circle.
for them, and they're so thankful. Because the teacher that I replaced, he was older. He was just kind of collecting his paycheck. He was in his 70s. And when I came in and I'm teaching these kids things, they were learning more in the 1 year with me before they graduated in the 3 years they had, because it's a 4-year program. And the parents were begging me, can you teach them after school? What can you do? How can you get them a job? Because they learned so much with you in such a short amount of time. I feel like they were ripped off the other 3 years they were there. And
it's a shame, but it happens. But you got the results. I mean, they gave you all the credit because of it. So
every year that I taught for the 5 years that I was at that school before I left for AWS, I had 98% employment rate at graduation.
That is just freaking cool.
Yeah, every single year.
Wow.
I would cold call in the beginning when I first started. I didn't know the industry down there. I didn't have contacts. And you know me, I'm a bit of a politician. So I'm cold calling these companies saying, hey, what do you guys need from me? How can I train these kids to do what you need? I don't want to just send you kids that can just
If it's not going to
MIG
serve
weld
you,
a fillet weld, and that's not what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing a TIG route and 7018 fill and cover. All right, I'm going to teach them that.
Yeah.
But I need to know this stuff. And then I was building these bridges with them with like, all right, well, we're going to supply you with all the material. We're going to donate all of this rod. We're going to,
Wow.
and I built this program into something that people were like excited about. It was crazy.
That is amazing. So at that point, were you already part of AWS, or you had not?
So that was when I was introduced to it when I was a student, but then, you start working, you're
By
busy.
the instructor that left?
Yeah, no, by my original instructor in high school.
Oh, okay.
And then when I started becoming a welding instructor, my local section reached out to me and was like, hey, come to a meeting, let's get you involved. And
right?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
And my district director at the time was Ken Temme, and he was just amazing, and he was a huge mentor in my career.
Yeah.
I started going to AWS meetings. He then, I didn't know, nominated me to go to this thing that AWS does called the Instructors Institute. It's a week-long, all expenses paid. All these instructors from all over the country are nominated by their districts.
So was that before or after the symposium?
Before.
Oh, so you had already been there.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
So I went down there for that. I really started speaking up because I told you I had a degree in education. I thought I was going to go become a history teacher.
Yeah.
So that's very different than a lot of other welding instructors.
I know.
They have some experience, and that's where
Correct.
that lies.
Yeah.
I had something to offer. I feel like I had a little bit different perspective to offer when I was at the
different
instructors
approach
there.
and a different.
So I started. I started just. I'm a loudmouth Jersey girl. I have an opinion, and I'm going to let you know it sometimes.
Great.
So, So I.
So now, you're
bit.
exposed to headquarters at AWS. Now they're exposed to you. They see who you are, how you approach everything.
Yeah.
So now they bring you the second time around, or you go the second time around.
For leadership.
And
you become more active in the actual sections.
Correct. So what was your role in the section when you first started?
I was just a member.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you never had like an actual, one of the, what's it called? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, sit on their board.
Yeah. Part of the section?
I had small roles.
Gotcha.
Just,
right.
image of welding and whatever, liaison type things. So he started getting me very involved. I started going and networking at AWS events more because then they met me at Instructors Institute, all the higher people in AWS and different executive committee members and stuff like that. And they're come meet this person, come meet this person, come meet this person.
So they're all kind of rating and judging.
Yeah, it went on for like 2 years. And all my buddies who we were friends with, Jay Becker, Travis Jumper, Jeremy, they're all like, they're totally scouting you.
Of course.
I said, no.
Yeah.
I didn't believe anybody would give a junk about me, and I don't look the part of AWS. I'm covered in tattoos, I'm a little, at the time I was a little bit more rougher around the edges, didn't have anything to lose, I didn't care if I said something a little,
off. The cuff,
now I'm a representation of them. That stuff's a little bit different now, but I was very passionate about this organization and what I think it could become at that time, and letting people know that. And I don't think I was wrong in my views. Obviously, they didn't think that.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I remember you and I, we had a few conversations about, these new path in your life and all that. And I said, look, it's going to be okay. It's going to turn out to be okay. Just like anything, we have ups and downs in whatever we do in life. So when does AWS actually comes out and says, hey, so all that time we spent just kind of shaking hands is because this? Yeah,
it was about 2 years after I did I did Instructors Institute, Leadership Symposium, and FabTechs in between after each of them. And then that FabTech after the Leadership Symposium.
Was FabTech on your own, or they brought you to FabTech?
I was on my own as an instructor.
Okay, gotcha.
Again, going to the different networking events that they were hosting. They used to call it Young Professionals event.
I know.
It's called Arcs and L's now, a little bit more inclusive.
Right, yeah. I remember.
So...
No one under 35.
Yeah,
and
it was
I'm like,
very
what?
strange. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm forever 22, so I was always welcome.
At least I'm glad that you remember the exact number, because she said that half hour ago, but she still remembers 22.
Because I tell it. It's been years.
There you go.
But, I got home from FabTech that year, and I got an email from John Douglas just saying, hey, I have this position I think you'd be great for. Would you like to come and work for the AWS Foundation, promoting careers in welding on a national level? And I was
that
like,
a yes right away?
Well, what was funny, at the same time, because of the impact I was making on the students and my program at the VOTEC, a big nuclear containment company reached out to me because I was training students and they were going there and just ripping through certifications. Like, what are you doing to these kids? How are they so good? we want you to come over here and be our welding educational supervisor and do all the training for everything, welding, material handling, forming, everything that we're doing here. We want you to come and run all that. Yes. So obviously that was a very high paying job. My husband was like, well, which one's gonna make you happier? And I said, well, I think probably doing this, where I still get to interact with students and promoting the trade that I feel like I've had my moments and made my money, and I ended up taking that and saying no to the nuclear company.
Wow.
And then came on board with the American Welding Society, and
look at you now.
Yeah.
And now, since you started working the trailer and all these other, not side jobs, that's not the right word, but other avenues have opened. Mm-hmm. So you do for AWS also the ARC America.
Metal America.
Metal America.
Yeah.
Then also you are part of what they call the ARC Stars.
Yep.
Right?
And then we have the ARC Academy series.
The ARC Academy series, yes. Uh-huh. And you are the face for every one of those.
Yes.
But the Netflix show.
Yes.
How did that happen?
They actually reached out to me on Instagram.
Netflix?
Yes.
Really? On Instagram?
Yes. I got a message on Instagram from a casting director. And they were like, hey, we have this show. We think you'd be great for it. Can we talk to you? And I was like, no. And
you said no?
I thought it was a scam. So I was like, no, thank you. So again.
Guys.
So I got another one. Can we please talk to you? Here's my email. So they sent me more information.
A little bit more formal, right?
Yeah. It's like, okay. So I talked to these people, and they're like, so it's going to be a metal art competition show. And I just kind of laughed, and I was like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that. And they go, oh, okay. I said, I'm not a metal artist. I'm a pipe welder by trade. I don't do metal art.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, okay. They're like, well, do you know people that could be interested? I said, yeah. And they're like basically back and forth, are you sure? And I was like, no. And then I basically said, I'm the face of the world's largest welding organization that writes codes and standards for, structural steel industries and stuff like that. I was like, I don't do metal art. Like, I'm sorry, but this is just not my thing. I said, okay, fine. I gave him contacts of other people to reach out to, like Ray and Tom.
Yeah.
They were two of the people I told them to go talk with.
Yeah.
And so basically they call me back about a week and a half later. They go, well, this was before they talked to them.
Yeah.
They go, so we think we need you to be like a co-host and a judge because we want you to be like the content expert of all things welding and explain theory and process and application.
Right, this is what they're doing and so on, right?
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, that sounds
that's
like
right up my alley.
That's up my alley. I think I can handle that. So
at this point,
yes.
do you know if they had anybody else?
No, they had nobody else.
You were the first
contact. I was the first person to be casted for the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And then I had to do a bunch of
demos.
They call it. Oh my gosh, what do they call it? Chemistry testing?
Oh, yeah. With the other people.
Yeah, so I had a chemistry test with a couple other potential hosts and judges.
Yeah.
And they kept saying, we need you, we love David. We want you to be great with David Madero. We hope this goes well. And they kept kind of pitching that to me. And I was like, okay, I guess I have to have a great time. And it's funny. I told David this because the other guy, one of the guys, I felt like he has like an engineering background, a little bit more techie, and I was like, I felt like I vibed with him pretty good. And he was into kind of that punk scene too.
Oh, there you go.
So I was like, this is great. And then I had to do it to David, and David was he's very artistic.
Yes.
He's very whimsical.
I know, it's
very passionate.
It's left and right brain, right?
So I was I felt like I was trying to do a really good job with him because I didn't want to disappoint them.
Correct, yes.
And so they inevitably said, oh my gosh, you guys were great together. And they picked him.
And you're like, all right.
And I was like, I'm just kind of shocked at that. But I get why
David,
they did
by
it.
the way, and I'm sorry to interrupt, because he reached out the other day and we've been talking, and he said yes to doing the show as well.
Yeah.
So you're next at some point.
He's the best.
David is
awesome.
You're a cool guy.
I was when I got picked and they told me this is who I'm going to be standing next to, and I'm looking him up and stuff, I'm like, I'm going to look like a total loser compared to him.
I know, some of the
talent
stuff, yeah.
Is
that guy can make something look cool out of anything.
Talent isn't a word to describe his skill set.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just beyond words. He's so talented.
It's amazing what he does.
I mean, he's doing massive monumental-sized sculptures for the president of Mexico as a birthday present.
I know.
Like crazy.
Dude.
So I'm like, wow, where am I going to fit into this whole...
But I guess, but that's exactly how things work. You want someone that, this is what happens when you join these two metals, and then the other guy's like, ooh, it was a perfect combination.
But I felt like a lot of the stuff that I did add to the show was edited out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went there with a big binder with all my notes and tech stuff, like a loser.
All right.
And they edited everything out, and then it just made me like, I didn't understand I'm a creative person, but I don't have that artistic, go with the flow. Like, if you give me an idea and tell me, I can make it for you.
Yeah, correct,
But I can think I can think outside the box to make something happen. And at this time, I also now own a fabrication company at this time, too. So I'm now doing a lot of one-off style stuff for restaurants, tattoo shops, hair salons, stuff like that. So, I just didn't feel like I was really fitting in there with all my tech stuff, and I guess they didn't think so either. And so now I'm
that's
just
why they
wandering
kind
around.
of left what?
Yeah, and they said that I was going to alienate too many viewers with all my stuff. And we had a joke that if they put a lot of this stuff in, that people are going to have a drinking game of how many times I say things people don't understand.
So I can see that. I can understand that. The industry, it's very techy.
Yeah.
And when you start throwing codes and this and that, it's like, what? Yeah. It's just iron. It's just metal. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right?
So I felt a little bit me personally after seeing the show.
It wasn't your full.
I was a little insulted because I feel like they made me look like I was crude and nasty to a lot of the competitors, and I actually wasn't. Yeah. I was the one over there, hugging Ivan after his dog passed away and he's crying. I'm the one helping Frank try and finish the build so that he didn't turn in nothing and just quit. And they're screaming at me to stop and just let him go and don't help them. There was so much stuff that was edited out, and my reasons for maybe selecting somebody else over who, in other people's eyes should have won. Because of technical execution, the level of difficulty, fit and finish of it. It wasn't just supposed to be something that was just...
It looked pretty.
Pretty, but hey, let's
take everything else into consideration.
Where's the craftsmanship lie in this, right?
No, I get it.
That's what I was there for, and they cut it out.
They have a product to sell.
Yeah, exactly.
They need to just, in their minds, what makes sense. So it is what it is. I think, regardless, it gives you another check mark that you didn't know that you could do.
But one thing, I'm not as mean as what they portrayed me to be on the show.
She's not, guys. So. She's definitely not, and I can vouch for that.
I would never say something rude to somebody, and if I did give a criticism, I would always back it up with okay, this is what I'm saying. So maybe next time you might want to adjust this.
Gotcha.
Maybe use a tape measure, but
right, in a nicer way. And now going back to the metal fabrication, because you opened even before Netflix. By now you had your welding school.
No.
Oh no.
The welding
was it
school
after Netflix?
Yes.
Oh, so I was wrong. So Netflix is done.
Yeah, but I have the fabrication company.
Correct, that I knew.
Yeah.
And what were you doing there with the fabrication company?
Pretty much, like I said, I was a pipe welder by trade.
Yeah.
But now I wasn't really doing that.
Correct.
It kind of grew organically. I was doing everything from roll cages to, again, custom bars
I saw some of those,
and tables and furniture, handrails, just all types of stuff that was very one-off, very customized stuff. The last piece that I created actually was featured on ESPN.
That coffin or that?
No, so I did work for the XFL. My last job as owner of Underground Metalworks was for XFL. We actually beat out Tiffany and Company, and The Rock owns the XFL. So I was working with The Rock and his ex-wife and manager, Danny Garcia. Yeah.
Just throwing names out there,
So it was really, I feel like that was a great closing point of I did this, I have this contract now, I'm going to give this to somebody else, but they did a whole piece on the XFL and how it became, and then who made the championship trophies and divisional trophies, and that was me and my company.
That is again, I told you guys were in for a treat. That just the resume, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So the fabrication, and then what happened that you said, well, I'm going to open a welding school?
Yeah.
The transition was, I mean, was it easy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because
right?
I love teaching so much, and then doing this trailer, I feel like I missed that like connection.
But you didn't think how much work and how much time it was going to take, right?
So the real idea of this school was, one, it didn't look like any other welding school anywhere in the country.
That I agree with.
It was completely different. The styling of programming was totally different. It wasn't just long-term stuff. It was single day, single process, basic to advanced, weekends, programs, night classes, and our longest intensive was a 40-hour week long.
Wow.
I've seen many of my students here.
Wow.
So within the first month of opening, by the second month, every single class I had at least 2 people in it to sold out. We only did 5 students at a time.
Gotcha.
So it just blew up. I mean, I was working when I wasn't on the road with the trailer. I was going like 18 days straight without a day off. And then running the fabrication company, trying to do logistics and manage the tour stuff.
Correct.
Because this is a national tour.
Yeah.
And it just exploded. So by month 2, I had to hire 4 more instructors and a full-time office staff.
Wow.
So it just took off, and that was not the intention of it. It was just supposed to be this fun thing that I came home and just did because I truly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it got so big, so fast, within a year and a half. My health started going to crap.
And I know that because you shared it and you were very open on, hey, you know, this is the reason why I'm no longer doing that. Because you picked family and health.
Yeah.
And I get it. It wasn't just your health. It was also family at home, your daughter, your husband.
Everything was being sacrificed for these 3 jobs that I had, and then I'm still a wife and a mother, you know, and something had to give, and I was literally gonna die probably because I have an autoimmune disease, and stress on top of what I was doing, it wasn't good for me anymore. I mean, everything in my body hurt like excruciatingly bad.
Wow.
I could barely like hold a TIG torch.
We're laughing now, but
And my hair fell out, like all my hair fell out. Like all my hair is fake. It's all weave, you know. And so I went on.
Sorry guys, you know that I do this in my show. I interrupt my guests.
It's okay.
It's amazing that you share that, because not many people would open up so much and share such a personal story, such a personal moment in their lives. But the reason why I'm saying that is because you see all the glamour and you see everything else, like, oh, Steph is killing it out there, without knowing all the hard work behind it and the sacrifice, health, family, mentally, you name it. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that here, and as you go around and tell those stories, because it might help somebody else.
Yeah, and I mean, I went on vacation with my husband, and I was just like crying. I was like, something's got to give. I can't live like this anymore. And I made a phone call and asked a couple people, hey, would you be interested in buying my company? And they were like, yeah.
The company being the welding school.
Yeah, correct. And then I sold the fabrication company as well.
Oh, okay.
So I sold everything. So the fabrication company did not go to Florida, though.
Gotcha.
Just the welding school did. And it was probably the best decision I've ever made.
And it's amazing because our mutual friend, Jason Becker, which now owns the welding school in Orlando, Florida, kept the name, kept the same vibe, pretty much.
Yeah, he had the same muralist that I had come
correct.
down.
The same artist came down and did it as well, right? It's amazing because Jason was already thinking about opening a welding school. Yeah. And you had shared some of what you went through, and then bam, it's amazing when this circle, how it can work.
I'm thankful it went to him, because I know he's going to do great things with it, and it won't turn into what I didn't want it to be, like a welding puppy mill, basically, of just hundreds of students coming through like short to long-term programming and just taking people's money like left and right, whether they're getting jobs or not. I wanted my stuff to be,
Yeah, you want your baby, you want to see your baby grow.
Yeah, I offered, short-term, affordable, buildable training, So like you can come take a week 1 month. If it doesn't work financially for you, you can come take another week another time at a more advanced level. You can come back, take the same class over again. Like, we had a lot of options.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's pretty cool to see where he went and, who's handling it now. And it's nice to see a friend in the industry that you can trust to carry the name. So now that you gave both those things, and now you are left with AWS, the trailer, How long of a season is this?
So it used to be when I first started, it was an 18-week tour. 2 years ago, because my schedule got a little crazy, we went down to 14 weeks.
Okay.
So now I do this 14 weeks a year, and I'm technically semi-retired the rest of the year. I don't think it's going to last very long. Not financially. I don't ever have to work again, thankfully. But I think just me
mentally and physically, it's nice
to like,
to,
I still want to be a part of this industry,
Yeah.
but I want to do more stuff on the business and corporate side of things.
Gotcha.
I want to give back in a different way and make differences a little bit different than under the hood. Yeah. So
That's cool. So now that you have, after the 14 weeks, all this free time, even though that might change, right? And it
I
probably
haven't had
will.
much free time yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I follow you, and you've been traveling around and having some
I've been
fun
going
and
on
enjoying.
a lot of vacations now.
So when you're not shopping and buying shoes,
So I do that a lot.
right? What else are you doing?
Vacationing and golfing.
I know. So did you picked up golf a couple of years ago? Or you
Yeah,
always
I've been
played? Because now I know you golf a lot.
Yes, now I golf a lot.
Yeah.
It's probably been golfing about 3 years.
Really? So what do you like about golf? What would this?
I like the challenge. I'm a competitive person.
Yeah.
So, like welding, you feel like once you kind of get the knack for a certain process in different positions, it's muscle memory. It's easy.
It is.
Like there's not a challenge to it anymore. When you're gonna, every welder, you're probably gonna get, especially with me, in the education side. Like one day I'm MIG welding, one day I'm TIG welding, one day I'm stick welding, one day I'm flux core, dual shield. Like I'm always doing something. So like I'm never losing a skill set.
Correct.
You know, I'm doing
it's
carbon
enough
steel.
hands-on practice,
Carbon steel, stainless steel, aluminum, Hastelloys, Inconels, Monels, duplex. Like I'm doing stuff open root, fillet welds. You know, I'm doing all of these things all the time. That stuff just is like second, it's like riding a bike.
It's muscle memory,
With golf, I go to lessons, I do tournaments, I do all this stuff, and I still suck 90% of the time. So it's not like it's just a constant challenge. Like, a couple of months, I'm just killing irons. Just irons are on fire, but I can't hit my driver to save my life.
Really?
Then next time, all those things are great, and now I'm 3-putting everything.
Really?
There
you go.
It's just fun. You're going to different courses. You're meeting different people.
That's true.
It's a really social sport too, where you don't have to compete against your friends. You can compete against yourself while still kind of simultaneously playing the game with them. And a lot of people golf in industry.
They actually do. I used to golf, and if my ball was in the air more than 2 seconds, that was a problem. That's a problem. Yeah, it's then shoulders and all that. But yeah, it's a great game. And coming from a baseball background, my swing at first was ugly. It was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I had
different
this
movement.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'm glad that you're taking care of yourself and having all this fun and enjoying life how we should.
Yeah, I've never felt better. This is the best I've ever felt.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear.
I'm off don't take any autoimmune medications right now.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm really
It's amazing what the stress can do, huh?
Yes.
Or the lack of stress, It's,
stress and sleep.
Yeah.
Lack of sleep and extreme stress.
It's a time bomb, yeah.
It will kill you.
How long have you been married?
I've been married for 5 years.
5 years. And how old is your daughter?
She is about to be 15 years old.
Really? So I know that you're now spending a lot more quality time with your daughter. What is she into?
Yeah.
I know you've had her at the shop every once in a while,
Yeah.
and she
can weld. Yeah, she does not want to be a welder.
Well,
she's really into field hockey and her friends, and she does like to golf and shopping. Obviously, I've given her that gift. Oh gosh, she's my only, so I spoil her.
Of course you have to. I get it.
And then, she wants to be an attorney. She got into the business academy for finance, and it's kind of weird. She's a freshman in high school, and it's like, how do you know what you want to be already? Like when I was a freshman, I talked about wanting to be a welder and going to welding classes and doing this, but I didn't really know that was going to be my lifelong career. I was still picking my nose. I was.
But good for her if she actually does know that she wants this. I mean,
so she's
ahead of the game already.
She's awesome. I'm super blessed, and I live with an extreme amount of mom guilt.
Really? Because of the time that you missed?
There's no getting it back.
Yeah, we've had those conversations before, personal conversations, where that was one of the reasons why you wanted to really kind of change and spend time with the family. So I totally get it. But you know what? As long as she sees that what you're doing now, it's part of this, and because you want to be there now, the lifestyle and everything else that she has access to It's because of all the sacrifices that you guys have made. So
and she understands that. She knows that, like, you know, I mean, I had other things in my family. You know, my dad passed away, and he owned a fantastic tri-state company, and you know, so when he passed away, that was very beneficial to my life. Not in a financial way.
We get it.
I love my dad.
Yes,
he's the reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, literally, and being
life happened, and he did some right moves where you ended up benefiting
so it benefited me in that way, and it, you know, it allowed me to, you know, kind of take a minute and start thinking, like, my dad did this too. Like, my dad worked himself to death probably, you know, and I didn't want to end up like that.
Correct.
So, you know, and my daughter saw that, you know, I was working so much. She was proud of me. She knew I wasn't just working dead-end jobs anymore either.
Correct.
Like, I started moving up in the welding industry and making bigger moves. So she understood why I was doing it. And when she was younger and I was working as a pipe welder and bartending and everything else and teaching, she knew I was hustling because I didn't have like, there was no other financial support from her dad. And it was just all on me, you know, and she sees that now. She's old enough to understand, like, oh, I love my dad, but I understand now why mom was gone so much.
Look, and especially at that age, you know, when you're a teenager, all you see is just the you're not here right now, right? And that it's such a fragile state. But as they get older, and they can actually think and say, I get it. Like, I totally get it now. So trust me, all that time back, you're going to get 10 times fold.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's some probably irreversible damage that I've done to my relationship with my daughter that, I mean, we're close. We have a great relationship, but I'm sure there's still feelings that she has that, like, she might think that, mom chose work over me, and I hate that. It is the worst feeling in the world. She tells me no, that she doesn't feel that way, but
you can sense.
How can you not when you're an elementary school student and your mom can't make it to back to school night or your school plays or any of your first field hockey games and can't get to your dance recital, and you know, because I was making, you know, in my head I was doing the right thing because I'm providing for my daughter.
Of course.
My first thing is to make sure she's safe and cared for.
Of course.
And that's what I thought I was doing. But at the same token, there's a huge value that isn't always talked about with actually being there for your children. No,
and I think, look, there's no book that tells you how to be a parent, even though there are books, right? You got to roll with the punches, and you got to just make it happen. And it's part of life. You have to provide, and the kids, it is what it is. And once they have their own kids and they grow, they'll say, like, oh, now I really understand what mom was going through. So you made the right choice. I'm trying to make it up to everybody in my family. It's not just my daughter. It's my husband. It's my sisters. It's my nieces and nephews. You know, it's my best friends. Well, now they get to see you. Now they can spend time with you. You know, it's like, okay, I'll be back in 3 months. You know, see you later. Can't do this weekend. Gotta go. Can't do anything about the past. Now I'm almost running out of family members to take on these vacations. My guilt. I'm doing a guilt tour right now. Well, once you catch up, I'm available. No, I think, you know, you made the right call, and I think I told you that when I saw that you made this. I think I texted you and I said, hey, right call, because health and choosing you above everything else, it's the right call always. We might not see it at the moment because we think we need that paycheck, we need whatever. I feel like the weight, I think because I sold the company to people that I trusted. Correct. I think that helped alleviate that weight and anxiety of, like, did I make the right choice? Because I was comfortable with it. All right. You know, so like that definitely helped, but it was like, it was wild, the difference in my health within like 2 weeks of selling the company. It's amazing. I mean, it was like shocking. Really? Yeah, it was amazing. And just to not make this longer than it needs to be, because then we'll do eventually another interview. What are they doing now, right? You mentioned that you are thinking of maybe shifting your roles a little bit here or there. What does that mean? Or what do you see for yourself in the next year, 2, 3? Well, I'm finishing up my MBA. I'm getting my graduate degree in engineering and industrial management. God, I look so dumb next to this girl. Jeez. Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm finishing that, and I'm doing an accelerated program so that hopefully I can, apply those new skills that I'm learning to more of a corporate and business role within the industry. I don't want to leave the industry.
Yeah. Well, I hope you don't.
No, not at all. This is the industry I know. I have so many connections, and the AWS was, integral in making those connections for me. So it's not something I definitely want to just be like, oh, I'm going to go work in real estate now. No, I'm going to stay in this industry. Hopefully somebody will.
I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Will hire me.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to be come on, guys, really? Did you hear the whole resume and everything she has going on? Come on.
Hey, I don't know.
Steph.
I'm just a welder.
At the end of the day, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But look at you now from 15 years ago. I mean, do you look back and you say, never in a million years would I thought that you were going to be here the way you are?
I think most people think that about their lives, right? Yeah. You look back and you go, oh gosh, I could, no matter what level it is, you're like, I could, somebody who went to school to be an architect and they end up being a chef at a 4-star restaurant or something like that, right? People don't think of that's what their life's going to turn into, but
that's a big change, when sometimes you change careers because life throws this wrench at you, but you stuck to it and you moved through the ranks and created this amazing persona and career out of it and got so much back, even though some sacrifices were made, it's whatever. But did you think it was going to become this in the same industry that you chose from day one?
No.
Yeah.
No, I thought there was many times, many places that I worked earlier in my career that I thought welding is not a place for women. I need to leave.
Yeah.
And every time I would have that thought, I'd be like, why am I letting them win?
Good.
And I just would, maybe step away from that company and find someone who, would treat me a little better and value me and.
Well, we are all glad. I know I am that you stuck to it because I got to meet you just by staying in the industry. And I want to say thank you for many reasons. One, for always being so cool and down to earth. Right?
Thanks.
you are, since the first day I met you, 17, 18. And also, thank you for saying yes to this crazy idea that I have.
I would have never said no.
Well,
you know that.
I know, but still, you never know with so many political things going on. I mean, you got to play the game too. So, and I get that. So far, everyone's been so open and said yes, and thank you all for saying that. But you're such an amazing person.
Thank you.
I thank you for your friendship. Congratulations on everything that is happening, that it's going to continue to happen.
Thanks.
And I can only see on the next episode, whenever she's on, where she's going to share like, oh my God, Frank, this is what I'm doing now. Things that I won't be able to explain, even if I put it on a piece of paper. So
maybe, hopefully.
Yeah. Thank you, love.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. Stephanie Hoffman.
Thanks.
All right.
Love ya.
Love you too. See you somewhere else with somebody else. Thank you, guys.